Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
What is going on, everybody? Jason and Destiny are here with another conversation. I was flipping through Instagram and I saw Rebecca Arthur's story, and she was promoting the book, Where's Big Dog? And I'm like, we need to reach out because I think it'd be so much fun to talk to them because you have a history in television as well. And so does Lisa. And I'm always fascinated with TV, and anybody who can write a children's book and do stuff for kids. It's also a passion of mine because I have a lot of children that I've taken in. But anyway, how are you guys doing today?
We're good. We're doing great. So happy to be here.
I'm excited.
So happy you found us.
Absolutely. So, Jessica, what made you want to get into acting? And Lisa, what made you want to become a writer and producer?
Wow. We're going back to the beginning. I've wanted to be an actress for as long as I can remember. It wasn't even really a decision, I guess. I just knew, that's what I'm going to do when I grow up. I'm a latchkey kid. I watched a lot of television. And from my earliest memories, the people on that TV brought me so much joy. And I wanted to grow up and do that for people. That's my earliest memory of why I wanted to do it.
All right. For me, it's about words. I love words. I love the way people speak. I will sometimes choose friends because they have a quirky way of speaking. And it just felt like a fun thing to sort of take those loves and translate it into work. And I would say when I read Catcher in the Rye in high school, because it was so conversational, it was the first time I read something where I thought, oh, wow, you can write like that. That's remarkable. And so that kind of set me on my course.
So, Lisa, I want to ask you about your time on Party of Five.
Okay, go right ahead.
So, I mean, what was it like working on the show? How did you get involved?
Well, I knew Chris Kaiser and Amy Lippman from having worked with them on Sisters. So when Party of Five happened, I wanted to go play with them again. You know, it was sort of exactly what you'd think it was. The writer's room was very intense and personal, and we shared a lot of stories, and you know, there was a lot of heartfelt stuff going on, and we put it on the show. And also very funny. I mean, I worked with a very funny group of writers: Mark Perry, P.K. Simmons, Susanna Grant. You know, we had a great time in that room.
I'm curious, on a show like that with the kind of cast that you had, how much involvement do you get to know the cast a little bit to try to maybe write some of their personality quirks into the scripts?
Yes, absolutely. Because we would be on set when our episode shot. So I would say that wasn't a particularly quirky group if you think about them. But we did get to learn, you know, the cadences and the preferences. But it was very much about the characters more than it was about turning them into Nev or Scott or, you know, Lacey.
Such a good cast.
Yeah, they were terrific.
All right, so Jessica, I have a question for you. Working on Loving, like you went straight into soap opera acting, which is not easy from what I've gathered doing these interviews and so forth. Like, what was it like jumping right into that? Because you film quite a few episodes a week, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, first of all, I didn't jump right into soap opera acting. I lived in New York for 2 years auditioning, waitressing, and trying to I was, you know, reading for films and primetime television, a little bit of theater, and I read for Loving, and they said yes. And I talk about that a lot. You know, I think a lot of us early in our careers, it's like we didn't necessarily pick film or TV or soaps or commercials. I mean, it sort of picks you in the beginning, unless you're, you know, somebody's famous child or something, and you can be guided into, you know, a specific thing. But I landed in such a great spot because the training that I got on that show, I was on for 3 years, and it's sort of everything I needed, like a crash course. I mean, obviously I'm still learning now, and there's all kinds of things I work on in my art and my craft, but the technical stuff, finding your camera, finding your light, using your voice, not to mention I worked with such amazing actors who really took us under their wings and guided us, and crew as well. It was a wonderful experience, and I recommend it. It's such a great crash course because there were times I was doing 5 episodes a week, Monday through Friday, and on a soap, it's just this constant, you're doing 1 episode, but you're learning the lines for 3 days from now, and you're just in this crazy crash course of acting.
So what brought the two of you together to create the book, Where's Big Dog?
Well, we got together over 20 years ago. Oh, there's our book. There it is. Where's Big Dog? Lisa and I met well over 20 years ago on a pilot. Lisa, I won't take your line.
Yes, okay. What I've begun saying is that the show did not get picked up to series, but the friendship did.
Oh,
Yes.
I love that.
And actually the same place that we met Samantha Ferris, who we were chatting about before we came online.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Jessica had the most wonderful dog on earth. Fight me for it. She was my god dog. She was her trusted companion and just a love. And the book was inspired by things that started happening after we lost Lucy.
I love that. I was telling Lisa before we came on, we recently lost a kitten. That was my daughter's, and it's been
sorry.
very hard on her. Thank you.
How old's your daughter?
She just turned 8.
Yeah,
I have 8 and 12. And so, those hard ages, one where it's like they're just kind of understanding, the one where they understand it, but it's still hard to accept.
Yeah.
And this book kind of, it hit hard, but it helped in such a beautiful way to kind of
hear that
ease children, especially into that loss of someone so important in your family.
Well, I mean, that is the inspiration of the book. At the time, I had my daughter's now 10, but she was 7 and had never had any experience with loss. And like a lot of people, like most people, I think, our dog Lucy, she was part of the family.
Yeah.
And so my daughter absolutely felt like she lost her big sister. And I found as a mom, it was very hard to find the language I needed to talk to her because I was also grieving myself. I was also in so much pain and not sure how much of that I should show her, especially because she kind of closed up about it. I think it was just so much feeling that it was frightening to her. It was frightening to me. And so the story, when we had it, even before illustrations, it was almost like a poem that we could read to her. And she started talking. She started talking more. I saw Lucy in the clouds the other day, or I saw her in the sand, and it just got her talking about her in away from the trauma of what had happened and starting to remember the joy and the fun. And that's what we hope it brings people reading the book, especially children, is to kind of pull them out of the trauma. Takes a while, and you're just going over the moment that you either were there or you found out. I know I did. It's a hamster wheel of this terrible thing that happened. Yeah. And so our hope is that the book gently guides you away from that, even for a moment, to just think about, I saw them. Look at that. They're smiling at us. Or I remember seeing a cloud where the big dog, it looked to me like a big dog waving. And you know, it just made me smile and took me out of I still get sad sometimes. But it's something that but I also remember the love now. I also remember the good, and I smile a lot more with the memory of Lucy.
And it's kind of a way to reframe the relationship so that it's still in the present.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, obviously, you know, we're not denying what happened, you know, but there is, by looking for Lucy or looking for anybody's pet, it keeps them present. I know it certainly does. You know, we're in Los Angeles where it's not often that cloudy, but on any cloudy day, I'm looking up to see, because I feel like there's going to be a fluffy cloud that looks like Lucy. And so it really, it keeps her front of mind in a present tense. And so that was a lot of the intention with the book.
I think that's beautiful. And I think that it does that so beautifully, because we look a little harder now, you know, like it is something that, especially as you said, like with children, but even as adults, and especially adults with children, to process something like that while also helping them process it is hard. And this is so beautiful of a way to like share that and make it a little easier. Like you said, even if it's for a moment.
Yeah.
I think y'all did an
incredible
job about that.
Thank you. That means a lot.
Thank
you. I always ask this to the people who write comic books, but like, what was the process to find an illustrator?
Well, it was finding a publisher.
Right.
And so that took a minute, but we hooked up with a company called Indigo River. It's a small independent publishing house, and they were great. And they provided, they found Carla for us, Carla Nade, who is our illustrator. And, you know, the sample pictures were very much in the spirit of what we were thinking and hoping. And then we drove her nuts for a year.
Well, we got to work very closely with her, and really just talking about colors and styles and looking at, it was almost like casting the characters, looking at different drawings, looking at profiles and head on, and this picture, you know, begging for cheese, and this tree and these clouds, and we did that for a year, going back and forth, page by page, not even page by page, but like detail, character by character. So while we didn't draw it, Lisa and I have our hands in every page, probably a little too much, but I think everybody's very happy now.
Yeah, it was a very collaborative process.
Very collaborative. And because I think, you know, the ignorance we had never done a book before. So we didn't know, and we worked very much at it. But we worked on it very much like a television show. And Lisa and I were storyboarding the entire thing. And I think everyone sort of got on board with working that way. And but you know, now we talk to people and they say, "Really? You got to speak with your editor?" And not only did we get to speak with Carla, but we got to share stories. She's a mom. She has animals. She's a dog lover. And so we got to talk about, I feel like in the illustrations, there's feeling bursting out of those images, you know, and matching the words so beautifully. And that was, I think, inspired by her talent, of course, number one, but just all of the talking about everything that we shared together.
Yeah, I think the word delicate was a very important.
Yes, we used a lot.
In terms of the language, in terms of the message, in terms of the illustrations, like we don't want this to hit hard. We want it to hit hard in an emotional sense, but we wanted not a lot of words, not a lot of adjectives, pretty plain spoken, to leave a lot of room for everybody else's experience.
Yeah, one of the things we decided early on is none of the dogs or the narrator, no one has names. and the dogs aren't gendered. We took the genders out because, that way people could have a closer, their own experience. If a little kid is reading and, well, my dog's a boy, we hope that makes it a little bit easier to put their own pet in the story for them.
Is that some of like the evolution of the story from the first draft to the final publication? Just those like little changes? How much, did your story change? Because I know sometimes the first draft is very different and sometimes it's still very
it's almost identical. There's a little bit of tense change, right? And then I think in the beginning, the original story, there might have been a little bit of gender. There's a little her.
You have to do a little bit of verbal gymnastics to not say he or she.
Yeah.
So I think we stuck the landing on those gymnastics, I believe.
Yes.
But no, it was, it was essentially writing down what happened.
Yeah.
This happened. The day after Lucy died, someone came to Jessica's house and looked around and saw Goldie, her schnauzer, and didn't see Lucy and said, "Where's Big Dog?" Oh. And then we started to see Big Dog.
That didn't go well, by the way.
No. I imagine not.
I barely knew her, and I ended up sobbing in her arms for I don't know how long. But then Lisa said,
that sounds like the title of a book. Yeah. And then the question began to get answered of where is Big Dog?
Yeah.
Big Dog is here, and Big Dog is here, and Big Dog is here, and Big Dog is there. And when it all came together, first we did it for us, and then we thought, okay, this is helping us. Let's see who else it can help. So that was the process.
Did y'all do any type of like pre-readings with families or children to see how people would respond to the book?
My daughter
Gemma was
our yes.
I don't want to say test subject. That sounds so bad. But
no, I know what you mean. Yes, we
a beta audience, I guess.
Well, not really, because its agenda is just very plain and very simple, and we weren't doing it for like curriculum. It wasn't the kind of thing where we had to vet it that way. I was pretty familiar. I think, Jessica as a reader, myself, I started my career at Scholastic. So we both had, I think, a real internal familiarity with children's books and with the way the language should be. I mean, that might sound a little arrogant, but I feel like just instinctively we knew how to lay it out in a way that it would be accessible for kids, that it would also be something that an adult could give to another adult. And, the example that I've used throughout this process is when I turned a certain age, a friend of mine gave me "Oh, the Places You'll Go." And I thought that was so lovely. And I've given people The Little Prince, not as recently as Jessica's birthday. And there's something very nice, I think, about an adult giving and receiving a kid's book. There's something about a kid's book that really does get to the heart of it.
Yeah.
And so we followed that guidance.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's something like whimsy about it almost, that like it brings you back to that like childhood feeling. And there's something so just heartfelt in that. So I love that very much.
That's good. Yeah, that's another word we used a lot, was heartfelt, and really thinking about how people would feel reading it. I know, having a little one back then, sometimes you're reading books and it's one more, mommy, one more, and you've read 4 books, right? Or 5 books or 8 books, and it's one more. And so I was also conscious of, this is a very short read. And I think, I don't think it's a book that you read right before you go to sleep necessarily, but I think it's, children sometimes have such a short attention span. But it's enough you can read the book in under 5 minutes. And I think you can keep them engaged. And we don't dwell on the pet loss. That is something that happens very early in the book, because the book's not about that. It's about what comes after. And I feel like it's just enough time to keep them engaged. And when you're done, what I've found is it leads to conversation. And without giving away the ending, I can tell you both have read it. My daughter saw me one day a few months after Lucy had passed, and I was having a really hard time. We were in our entry hall area, and she came up to me and she said, "But Mommy," and she said the end of the book to me. And I thought, my goodness, this is my 7-year-old is comforting me with the whole message of this book. Yeah. And that was pretty incredible when you're talking about feedback, and that was so meaningful to me.
Yeah. I mean, especially being kind of the heart of one of the reasons you wrote it, to be able for her to bring it back to you that way. It back.
And that's when I knew we had something really special. Yeah. I thought, if this is happening for us, I think it can happen for other people. I'm sure it will happen for other people. We're certainly not the first family to lose a beloved pet. Although it can feel that way when you're going through it, that who could understand this? Yeah. And then you find there's a whole world of people that understand and have sympathy and empathy and community in this. And the community is that we just love our pets so much. It's not necessarily a community of sadness or loss. It's a community who our pets are our family.
Yeah.
I relate to that so much. I can't imagine if anything happened to my dogs. I got to take one of my dogs to the vet this week, and I'm a nervous wreck about it.
Oh, it's always the worst, right? It's always the worst.
But I do have a couple more questions, one for each of you about your careers. Jessica, you were on one of my favorite shows that got canceled way too early called Tru Calling. My daughter's aunt was actually named after the show. What was it like working on that show?
Oh my gosh. It was so much fun. John Feldman, I had worked with him on American Dreams. In fact, he created my character on that show, and kind of stole me from that show and brought me to Tru Calling. But it was such a good part and such a great show. And John and I went on to do Big Shots as well. So I've worked with him at least 3 times that I can think of. But it was fantastic. We were up in Canada, Vancouver, shooting that. Zach Galifianakis was on the show. So much fun, and such a different kind of character for me to play. And there's so many people who loved it. I and are sad that it went away after, I think, 2 seasons. They do that sometimes. I don't know why, but I know we had a lot of fans.
Yeah, I have them both on DVD. It's funny because I saw The Hangover and I'm like, I can't wait to see more of this guy. And they're like, well, you've seen Tru Calling. I didn't realize it was the same person. Like, night and day different characters, because he's so quiet in Tru Calling and more reserved and
so different. I know. They had a moment where they dabbled with putting us together, and I think there's one episode that we go on a date, and then the show didn't go long enough for that to happen, but I always thought that would have been a cool storyline to follow.
Yeah, so underrated. Lisa, I can't let you go without asking you about Hey Dude. The audience would be very, very mad at me. What was the experience like working on that and working on like early Nickelodeon?
Well, that was my first TV writing job of narrative TV. I'd done like some cable stuff and the kids game shows for Nickelodeon, but that was the first scripted. It was very early on in Nickelodeon. We filmed in Tucson, Arizona. We were very off the grid, which was great. And I was on a staff. We didn't have a writer's room in the typical sense. There was one head writer, first Alan Goodman, and then subsequently Graham Yost, who, as we all know, was, Justified, From the Earth to the Moon, Band of Brothers. I mean, he just had a remarkable and fantastic, got Silo on Apple now. Fantastic guy. So there were a group of us who would each do like 2 episodes for every 13. And they would keep one person on set at all times, so that if it rained and you needed to change it from a baseball game to a Monopoly game, that there was somebody there to craft that. And so I was there for the last 13 episodes, living on set in a hotel with these, teenagers without their parents. So use your imagination. The show, not unlike a soap, was shot so efficiently and so unusually because it was the 3-camera show shot on location, out of sequence. So shot like a film show, but with somebody, calling cameras on, camera one, switching it on set. So there wasn't a ton of editing done subsequently. And it was a 3-day shoot for each episode. And it was shot for the change in your pocket. But it was very fun. And, Christine Taylor has gone on to big and wonderful things. David Lasher has gone on to big and wonderful things. David Brisbane has gone on to big and wonderful things. And it was very fun being with those people at the beginnings of their careers and the beginning of my career. It really taught me what I was good at, and it taught me what I was bad at, because nobody was, we weren't getting a lot of notes. So the stuff you were bad at also got filmed. And then you watched it. Oh boy. That was a swing and a miss, but took it with me to the next job.
It's important to know what you're bad at.
I'm sorry.
I said it's important to know how bad the things you're bad at. That's how you get better. Like, people always ask me, why do you watch your podcast so many times? It's like, because I want to take notes so I can get better. Because I won't get better if I don't watch, because nobody's giving me feedback other than "you're awesome," and that doesn't help.
Well, you are awesome.
It was super helpful early in a career, just because there's something in your head and you think, oh, that speech is going to kill, and then it just kind of lays there like a dead fish, and you go, all right, let's not do that next time. But what's very nice is that the show is getting a little bit of a second life now. It's streaming on Paramount Plus. David and Christine have their podcast. I think the audience is now old enough and nostalgic. So we've been having some fun with it. We all got together at the ranch a couple of months ago, and it was the first time that the entire cast was together since the day we wrapped.
Wow. That's amazing.
That was really fun.
Come on, Paramount Plus, reboot.
Right. So, Jessica, Lisa, what do y'all have coming next? Like, what's on the horizon for y'all at the moment?
Right now, it's this book, this new chapter in our lives of, it's wonderful for Lisa's one of my favorite people in the world. So getting to spend all this time with her, talking about the book a lot, going to book fairs, going to signings. We just did the LA Book Festival here in Los Angeles, which is like Coachella for books. Amazing. And just doing this ride right now.
And, this is a business where you can ask us that on Monday and it's one answer, and on Wednesday, it's a completely different answer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, well, where can everybody find your book? Where is Big Dog?
Any place
you like to buy books. Yes, you can find us at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, of course. Any independent bookstore will have us. We're very easy to find.
Arrangement if anybody wants signed books.
Yes.
There's a bookstore called Annabelle's Book Club in Studio City, California. And if you order the book through them, we are happy to go in and write you a note that you are our favorite people on earth.
Yeah, we'll go in. You can tell us the inscription you'd like, and then we go in every now and then and we sign books personally. It will be to you. So,
or if you want to gift it to somebody,
yes,
send a note.
That's amazing.
Yes, somebody asked me they were like, tell my kid, do good in school.
I know, that was really funny.
And gave me all these instructions to love Jessica. So, I'll do it.
You're like, all right.
Tell me what to say.
So I got one final question to close it out. We are a Three Geeks podcast. What is something you guys geek out about?
Joni Mitchell.
RV life.
Nice. I would love to do RV life. That'd be
so much fun. I know way too much about it.
Sounds like a blast.
It's so much fun.
All right. Well, where can everybody find y'all online for social media?
You can find me on Instagram at MS Jessica Collins. You can Facebook, Twitter. No, it's not Twitter anymore. It's what is it? It's X. But Instagram, I'm most likely to see what you're and respond.
And mine is Lisa Melamed LA on Instagram. And then there's a Where's Big Dog page.
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
I love that. Well, everybody go follow Jessica, Lisa, and Where's Big Dog. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe here at Three Geeks. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for having us. What fun.
Thank you guys very, very much. It was a lot of fun.